And I'm here now with the 2019 president of SPE, Sami Al-Nuaim. So thank you so much, Sami, for joining us. Now, I remember talking to you quite a while ago, and you had ideas in terms of what you wanted this conference to, all of you, to look like, and you very much were absolutely insistent that the big focus had to be on sustainability, and this was really the direction for SPE. You were obviously right. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Thank you very much for having me here. I think I agree with you 100%. What we want to do is to tell the world that the oil and gas industry is serious in addressing the sustainable issues that facing the world. We want them to believe us. We want them to also work with us to address this issue. And that's exactly what we did, and that's what we focused on in this beautiful conference in the city of Dhahran.
Now, of course, we look at the oil and gas industry. We have to look at the energy industry as a whole. We cannot isolate one or the other anymore. How important are you seeing that convergence beginning to happen, at least the starts of that, with everybody coming on board?
That's exactly what we're saying. We want to redefine the energy transition. We believe that oil and gas alone cannot meet the world demand on energy. So what we want to do is to redefine the energy transition with a cleaner and more efficient oil and gas, complemented by renewables and other sources of energy as well. So that's our energy mix, if you want to say it. All are needed and all are really critical to the global energy mix demand.
And of course, we look at that demand into the future, and we look at any of the reports and any of the outlooks that are coming up, and huge energy demand growth. So not one source alone can really do it. But again, I heard a lot too in this conference too about people saying that we all need to really change the perception. And I think obviously what you're doing here at SPE, I think it's been a good start, because now that's very much at the very heart and core of what SPE wants to do.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we want to do in SPE. We want to bring what I call the energy balance equation that looks at the energy demand, the need of the world of energy, but also look at the other things that the energy, especially oil and gas, do to the world in case of supporting the global economy, in terms of enriching the social development, as well as the stewardship, the environmental stewardship that basically the industry is taking in the last decade as well, to address the climate change and address the energy poverty and other issues that are facing the globe. And that's what I call the energy balance equation. So we want to look at energy, we look at it as a whole picture, looking at all factors and all components that impact the overall energy.
And indeed, that is a very realistic discussion, I think, that everybody has to have. And I think everybody has to adopt that. And even some people who may not favor the oil and gas industry sometimes really need to look at the transition, look at how important it is, all the great work that has been done, and that still needs to be done, because we can't just pull the plug, so to speak, at the moment. We need all sorts to make sure that that energy is happening. The dialogue has to continue, the momentum has to continue, and I think, do you believe you've got the right support in place now, listening to all the CEOs and the leaders, that actually that dialogue can maybe go to a higher level?
Absolutely, and that's the message that we're trying to convey to the world, that we can make oil and gas cleaner and more efficient. The world is concerned about CO2 emission and methane emission, and we're addressing them. The industry has aggressive strategy basically to arrest the CO2 emission through technology and best practices, as well as minimize and reduce the methane emission, what's called fugitive gas emission, significantly in the future. And we want the world to hear us. We want the world to listen to us and understand exactly this strategy that is undertaken by the industry. And there is also huge investment supporting that strategy as well. If you look at an initiative like OGCI, the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative, you're talking about a self-driven initiative by several national and international oil companies, including, of course, Saudi Aramco, investing $1 billion in the next 10 years to create and innovate new technologies to address this issue, this global issue. So we are very serious about it, and we have a solid plan to really execute this balanced strategy.
And of course, also, it's all in the science. It's always been in the science. And when you look back, what the expertise that this industry can bring, the investment alone that it can bring, the passion that it can bring to be part of the solution. It has always been part of the solution, and maybe that solution has changed over the years, be it economic growth, be it just changing the lives of so many people, be it eradication of energy poverty. All of these have to be in. So in a way, it's about looking at this, using the science and using the expertise and everything the energy sector has to, create a better story for everybody.
Absolutely, and that's why we try to combine meeting the demand of energy with enriching the economy, changing the life of the people, improving the lifestyle of people. If you look at all kind of domains of lifestyle around the world, energy poverty is a big issue facing the world now. Currently, we have almost 1 billion people lack access, to electricity. And in a continent like Africa, basically there are 730 million people who use biomass for cooking, causing death and respiratory, health diseases and so on. And that's exactly what we're addressing through providing cleaner and more efficient oil and gas, of course complemented by other sources of energy as well.
Indeed, and that is one of the areas. I think in some places in Africa they talk about getting access to energy for 60%. I always say that's a bit above 50%, but 40% with no access is just below 50%. So that equation has to happen. And do you believe that the energy players can actually play a strong role in making sure they can help alleviate that and get these figures down, get rid of these figures? It should hopefully, in this day and age, we should not be dealing with this situation.
I think we're very serious. Our industry is very serious. If you look at our impact lately, for example, in Africa, luckily we had several successful gas discoveries, whether in the Mediterranean region or as well in West Africans, especially in offshore. Very expensive operations, very risky operation, but great success that would have great impact in the near future when it comes to the energy poverty in this great continent. So we're very serious and we're executing that strategy. We're putting a lot of effort, a lot of investment to improve the situation globally and address the global sustainable goals that adopted by the United Nations.
That's wonderful to hear. Now here in Saudi Arabia, well done, you must be very proud personally as well to be here at IPTC in Saudi Arabia in Dhahran 2020. A new year, a new decade, and really part of, I think, the new outlook for Saudi Arabia. So maybe give me your personal, sort of kind of feelings at the minute in terms of being here and having this big conference here in Saudi Arabia.
I'm so pleased to see what we have achieved so far in a very short period of time. Having such a great event like IPTC in the city of Dhahran, which is the heart of the whole oil and gas industry. Basically here we have almost the largest oil reserves in the world. So basically I'm very happy to see IPTC here and the great success, the great work that was done by Saudi Aramco and the team in the organizing committee as well. I'm so pleased as a Saudi first and as SPE president and as a part of this great industry to see this event.